What's going on, folks? Painless. I know it's been a while. I want to jump right into this video. Many of we've seen the uh, you know, this when you think things can't get any. I wouldn't say worse, but any more hilarious. Because really, this is becoming real comical now. I mean, it's always been, but it's I just think the media is getting to the point where they just don't give a damn about what they put out. It's like Master P. It's like a No Limit record. And any of y'all remember No Limit? They was putting out they was putting out records like every week. You know, Mr. Servon, Fiend got an album dropping out. Mystical. I mean, who else? Back after, week after week. And, this this situation with this officer that, it really, I say we really as black men are taking L's in a way that is, it's nothing I've seen before. I mean, uh, we're taking L's and everybody's watching. Everybody's watching. And I've talked about, I've talked about how, masculinity, not only in America, but in the Western world, is really, and even other parts that are, now westernized, is becoming, to be a man. And I've spoken about this long before the manosphere. And y'all can quote me. Many of y'all who've been followers, I said that masculinity, manhood has been shunned. It's being shunned. It's not cool to be a straight male. And it's damn sure not cool to be a straight black male. And, this Kid Cudi situation, it is what it is. You couple that, the weakness and the constant L's that black men have been taking, with that of clout chasing, which brings me into this officer. First off, this second lieutenant, second lieutenants are like privates to me. In case they were, when I was a non-commissioned officer in the United States Army, even though they outranked me, they had zilch, understanding in terms of military life, tactics. I mean, they just knew book stuff. Now, you had some good lieutenants, but for the most part, a second lieutenant, he's like a private E1. And essentially that's what he really is. He's the lowest of the low on the officer rank scale. But to see him act that way as the United States military army officer was troubling to me. And I've read little snippets that the sergeant major of the Army, which is the most enlisted rank in the United States Army, has kind of applauded him for his actions. Now, from my understanding, when we think about political correctness, and we think about, everything starts in the military. And I remember, in hindsight, this thinking about, like, it was Me Too before. I knew about, we didn't call it Me Too, but I knew about Me Too before Me Too was Me Too. Because in the military, you were constantly getting sexual harassment courses, quid pro quo, check her out. Like, that's why when I got out the military and I went and worked with various civilian private corporations, and the way that some of these men would catcall and gawk at women, I'm like, man, what the fuck is wrong with y'all? Don't y'all know y'all gonna get hemmed up on some charges of sexual harassment? And it didn't even register to them. But I had knew that well in advance because it was beaten in us, not literally, but it was instilled in us so much in the military to where you just knew. So everything starts, all this Me Too, all this, political correctness. A lot of this stuff is tested on the military first. Then it moves out into the civilian sector, whatever society. But with this guy, first off, I thought it was a prank because most officers don't wear mustaches. In fact, it's pretty much frowned upon as a United States officer to have a mustache. Now he's a second lieutenant, but nevertheless he's been in training. He's been under a cadre. He's been in a training environment long enough to know that officer mustache. That's not really. We don't like that. And I've seen places where, and I understand he's a medic, which is a co-ed MOS, military occupational specialty or skill. But I would go so far if he was in combat arms, field artillery, armory, infantry, they tell him to cut that shit off. He probably have his CO cut. You need to take that off. Like here's some clippers. Go in there and cut that shit off like right now. And then you think about the times but you know what? I thought it was a prank because I couldn't fathom that somebody would be this stupid, especially as a United States Army officer, to be this stupid and this derelict in his approach towards this situation. I mean, to drive 1.5 miles, knowing damn well the black and whites are behind you with their sirens in this climate. And it got me to thinking, well, damn, these are tomorrow's leaders. These are tomorrow's leaders, folks. That guy, that second lieutenant, Karen Nazario, is going to aspire to be a damn general someday. And this is what we have. And I said this. I did another video before. I said, so this is what we are. This is what we are, folks. Men, boys wearing dresses for clout. United States military officers. Do you know there's somebody somewhere in China or Russia who's of a higher echelon than whatever said military branch of service in respect to Russia and China, and saying, wow, this is cool. Many of y'all know where I'm going with this. And I'm talking about the pussification of American society. This is where it starts going downhill, folks. Where we applaud this, where we condone this, where we put no fault at this guy, at this United States officer's feet, and hold him accountable. It's all on these officers. No. This man had, first off, he had the wherewithal to set his little camera phone up and clout chase, which was, to me, is premeditated. He knew what he was doing. And then to act all feminine, and if you really look, his mannerisms and the inflection of his voice was very feminine, very scary to me. Very, something that you wouldn't want in a United States Army officer or officer of any military branch for that record. But I'm prior Army. He's in the Army. So, yeah. So it's unfortunate to see that's what we've come to. And I just laugh, man. I just laugh. It's so, it's like you're in the Twilight Zone, man. Like, you, this guy is totally released of any accountability in this shit. Like, y'all don't see any error in what the fuck he was doing. Constant dismissal of commands from these cops. I mean, just I mean this, and this is from a United States officer in the Army. But you know, it really confirms from stories I hear from guys that are still in, and how shit has really changed the United States military. And these are your leaders. These are your leaders, folks. These, you know, like I just said, other governments, other military forces look at this and say, well, these are America's future leaders. And it's fucking a shame that you have a United States officer this is shit I expect from a E2 or E3, not a United States military officer that whose standards are higher than enlisted. That, you know, you're set apart from enlisted. You hold yourself to a higher standard, not only in uniform but outside, but outside of uniform, out of uniform, you know, and he clearly doesn't demonstrate that. And I think he should be reprimanded. To me, the way he, since the image, and military is big on image, especially in uniform. I think he brought a very disservice to the uniform. He made the situation go worse than it should have. He didn't have to get pepper sprayed. But when you're clout chasing, when you want your little punk ass 10 minutes of fame, which you got, I hope it's well worth it. But to me, I know that Sergeant Major of the Army, he's saying that shit out of the climate. You don't want to be branded. And that's what brings me to another thing. You know, these cops, it doesn't piss me off because I really could give a fuck. But I find it interesting when I'm on Facebook and I see people I know post shit, and, they're trying to get something, just to get something spinning, or to get some traction under whatever story that they post. I find it interesting that, people, they don't, if you really think that these police are out here want to be the next Chauvin, hell no, these cops don't want to be, they don't want to be in that position. So this whole idea that these two officers wanted to be on candid camera for the whole world to see is ridiculous. But this is real feminine behavior, what he did. This United States military officer is very feminine. His approach, his demeanor, even after, when all was said and done, the whole please don't, to me that's weak talk. Despite, because I've been pepper sprayed numerous times, but many of y'all know I've had experience of course, in the military, and then also in the federal government as well. When I first in the federal military civilian service. So I've done that. Never been tased, but that pepper spray is no joke. So, but this, his demeanor, his sounded real feminine and weak. He made himself look weak, and maybe that's the tactic now. But to me, it doesn't look good, especially as a United States military officer, and knowing damn well that there are others from other parts of the world that look at this, and it's not a good look to me. It's not a good look. That's why he needs to go on and get reprimanded, maybe also discharged from the military for that, to me, because that was unbecoming as an officer. I believe that they call it. Actions unbecoming. And to me, that was unbecoming to let a situation get that fucked up. Really, if I'm in command or any type of chain of command, I'm looking like, shit, this is how you fucking, as a United States military officer, this is how you going to react under certain conditions like this? Shit, I don't want this knuckle dragger on my shit. I can guarantee you there's some officers and enlisted that are saying that shit right now. Like, I don't want this fucking guy. This is how he's going, and it's rightfully so. Rightfully so. But, most officers, just like with this stuff and going on in Minneapolis, if you comply, you won't die. All right, folks. That's just the reality of it, man. And, I'm not, I was going to talk about this Kid Cudi, but I don't even know who this fool is. But, this clout chasing. No men around. These are the products, and I would go so far as to say, I bet you this Nazario kid is from a single mom, or no man in sight, because this is not how men rock like that. But yeah, these guys, these clout chasing men, boys in the so-called black community, and I've spotted this well. In advance before it was when I would have black men on YouTube would get so mad because of my opinions and put my name all in their video titles, would make costumes out of me, would make characters of me. I should have fucking knew then. Well, I did know. That what I was dealing with black men and their constant bussy popping will go so far as to do this debaucherous things for a little bit of attention and clout chasing and notoriety. So I knew this before dealing with those types of fools, and to now where you have these black men that will do anything to clout chase for attention, which to me is a very feminine, woman-like trait. Anyway, I'm out. Painless.